I've been saying for some time that this was bound to happen. And forgive me if there's a little bit of glee. It's not something that I try to do. Rush Limbaugh, God rest him, my radio mentor, he had a lot of fun with I told you so's. And he loved to say, I don't know if you remember Rush saying this, I speak because I like to hear myself talk. I enjoy being right. And this program has been proven to be right by a survey, 99.87% of the time, always right. You get the joke. But they actually created on EIB, Rush's network, they created a way to look back into the archives, and they would put this, they put this big compression sound. When something had come from an earlier date, there was a prediction he'd made. I kind of want to do that, but then again, everybody in my business can do that because we talk all the time and we get right some things right sometimes. But I was saying back in the Seattle radio days, and it was several years ago, that this is going to happen. Seattle's a tech hub. And I was saying to tech people, do you understand that you are writing your own end? Do you get this? Do you understand that you're working on things at your own end? And in a way, this is a little bit delicious because this is a hidden underbelly of tech. You know, we talk about technology eating jobs. Guys, it is their job to do that. There are people at Microsoft and Google and Apple who study industries. And what they do is they study labor-heavy industries. And they look into that and they start to do the math. When can we have software that will cost companies less than people? And many of these plans already exist. So when they know that they've reached this crossover point where machines or tech is cheaper, that's when they start to produce the products. And that's when they start to go and pitch the marketplace. So this has happened to printing stores. And if you're below the age of, 45, you've never heard of Kinko's, right? And there are printing stores everywhere. There were businesses that would put together your newsletter. You could go into downtown areas and there were big print shops and little print shops and these things called offset printers. All that's gone. There was a business called travel agents and they made decent money. I mean, there's still a few of them, but if you were going to book a vacation, you would go to a travel agent. And the travel agent knew what they were doing and they had these connections with the airlines because there was no way to do it online. So you had to call the airlines, and like I had to call Patriot Mobile the other day, or just last night. It took me like an hour. They're very helpful, but it took me like an hour to get someone from customer service on. So there's these businesses within tech companies that are saying, okay, what's the next travel agency that we can go consume? They did it with dictionaries. They did it with encyclopedias. I was there in a meeting with the world's, the encyclopedia company, World Book Encyclopedia. I was in the room in a Microsoft meeting when the people at World Book said, oh, well, the internet's not going to affect us. No one's going to want an encyclopedia online. I remember just sitting there going, guys, you really do not get it. Well, the computer engineers didn't get it either. And something has happened to computer engineers, and I don't wish anyone ill. I try not to. But I'll share this with you in a second because, man, this is the stuff of movies. People have invested their careers in this. Now, look, it's not like it's going down. There's not going to be an end to technology. In fact, one of my favorite companies, Angel Studios, just used technology to create an animated film. And it doesn't look like tech. It looks like good old-fashioned animation. It's called The King of Kings. And it tells the story of a little boy sitting in a study as his dad, who's Charles Dickens, is giving him a lesson on the life of Jesus Christ. This is based on Dickens' works, The Life of Our Lord. And the little boy becomes enraptured by this. He gives up his King Arthur sword of the Round Table, gives that up, turns it upside down, becomes a cross. Now, this movie's no longer in theaters, but it's important that you understand something. It is part of a movement. It killed Snow White. Okay, it just destroyed it at the box office. So you can go watch this right now at angel.com/Todd when you become an Angel Studio Premium Guild member, but you get a lot more than that. Not just access to that. You can stream all of their fan-curated shows. You get 2 free tickets to any of their theatrical releases. Plus this, we are taking over Hollywood with Angel. They made Sound of Freedom. They're connected with The Chosen. Now King of Kings. We get to greenlight projects with them. Us. Go to angel.com/Todd and become part of this movement for family-friendly, faith-filled films. A lot of F's in that. I did that well. Angel.com/Todd. So computer engineering grads are facing some big time unemployment. This comes from Zero Hedge. Hey, look, it's Tyler Durden writing. How could that be? It also comes from the College Fix, Alexander Horowitz at the College Fix. Computer engineering grads face double the unemployment rate of an art history major, according to the most recent data from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The stats show art history majors have a 3% unemployment rate, while computer engineering grads have a 7.5% unemployment rate. Computer science grads are in a similar boat with a 6.1% rate. The trend appears notable among STEM majors. Why is this? Because as I was saying years ago to people who work in tech, when you started working on voice recognition, when you started working on AI, you started to construct code that writes code and machines that build machines. You were sitting in a cubicle thinking you're just going to destroy the next business, the next industry, the next vertical, when in fact you were destroying your own. But then again, you can learn to be a coal miner. I'm sure God would welcome more coal miners.